Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, as the title suggests, I am coming to you with the Booktube newbie tag. It's been 5 months since I've been in this Booktube community, and I've made around 16 videos. But still, I consider myself quite new because I have very a few number of subscribers. As you can see, I consider generally myself quite new because I'm still learning a lot about the community and exploring the community as such. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, so this is Angela, your own bookaholic brown name. And if you like my bookish content, please do not shy away from liking this video and also subscribing to my channel. Smack that subscribe button. When I started this channel, like I said in the intro, I did not know much about the community and I didn't even know that this Booktube newbie tag existed. But when I came across, I decided that okay, I should do this at some point in time, sooner the better. And here I am doing it. So without further babbling, let me get into the tag questions. So, and for people who are not familiar with what the hell this whole thing is about, this tag was originally created by a person called Brenda C in 2014. Basically, this is a way for you to introduce yourself, if you have a booktube channel, into the booktube community. And there are around 7 original questions, and people along the way have added some more. So I am going to go through 11 questions. And I haven't prepared my answers. I thought that I will answer them as I go. I don't know if it's a good idea, but here it comes. Question number 1, why did you start this channel? Before I start answering question number 1, what happened is I recorded the entire answer that I had for question number 1 and didn't save it. So while editing, I realized that I haven't done it. So here I am back again answering the question. So if there is difference in lighting, then the reason is that. Why did I start this channel? I always loved books. I've always been surrounded with books. And during college and school, it was easy to find people with your common interest. You have the reading clubs and people who read, and people who borrowed from the school library. So you exchange ideas and you exchange interesting or you common interest books, etc. However, later on in my life, I found that I do not have many friends who love books except 1 or 2. I think this is a problem which most book lovers face. So I wanted to have a community with whom I can actually discuss books. And the first step towards me to find the community was Goodreads. Apart from the good recommendations, I also enjoy the good interactions we had in Goodreads. Later on, somehow by chance, I came across 1 or 2 bookish videos and booktube videos, and my interest was piqued, and then I started discovering more and more quirky, funny content creators who are so full of personality and so much full of love for books. And I started binge watching them, and later on, after a few months, I decided that maybe I should also do this because I love talking about books. I love talking things related to books, and also this is a community which is so welcoming, so and have a lot of things to offer, like give exposure to authors, especially indie authors or self-published authors. I've seen booktubers who receive arcs and reviews, and which helps the authors and publishers in turn. And so it's a very give and take community, a very lively community. Considering the love I have for books and talking about books, I thought starting a channel was a good idea. I hope it is a good idea. I hope it stays that way. So yeah, that's my answer to the first question. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? If you do not know already, I am from India, Bangalore, which is in the south of India. What I have noticed is that most of the popular, most followed booktubers, and booktubers in generally are people from the developed countries in the West and US, UK and European nations. I actually think that I can bring a unique Indian perspective to the contents out there in the booktube community. Yeah, I think that would be interesting for you guys to listen to. Also, I might be able to introduce you to some great Indian books which you are not aware of, which are brilliant and amazing, because of course the language is a barrier. I'm talking about not just English books written by Indian authors, but also books written in Indian languages, which you don't have access to because of the language barrier and you're not aware of, and maybe I can help you in introducing to some interesting, amazing literature from India, and maybe push you guys who are non-Indian people out here to test some new authors. And the third interesting thing that I can contribute would be tied up with the first question, that I do not have many book lover friends in real life whom I can discuss books with, and that's why I started this channel. Maybe I can push some of them at least to realize that how interesting and beautiful and colorful the world of books is. And also there might be some people who have lost touch with reading books because they are busy with life and office work, etc., who were good readers back in the days when they were growing up or in college, etc. And maybe I can inspire them and say, hey, she is able to read so many books even with work, life, and 4 dogs at home and all that. Maybe I can do it as well. So if it inspires at least one person to start reading again or start reading at all, then I would consider that a big achievement. So yeah, that's the answer to the second question. Third question, what are you most excited for about this new channel? First thing is that I hope that there will be more engagement in the future, so that I can interact with people who love books, so that I can connect to more and more book lovers. Secondly, at some point I would like to collaborate with other booktubers and discuss books and discuss our TBRs or discuss fun stuffs like guess a book from the first line and things like that, which other booktubers do. And thirdly, also I would like to connect with authors also, to directly have interactions with them. These are the things that I'm excited for, and these are the things that I plan to do in future. Hopefully they work out. If not, I'll just continue sitting here just babbling about that is exciting enough, I guess. Fourth question, why do you love reading? How do I answer that? As far as I can remember, I have always been surrounded by books. My dad was a big time reader. I always remember that I never asked for clothes or toys, but I always asked for books. Initially, of course, I started with Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys and Bobbsey Twins and Sherlock Holmes and things like that. And there was a phase I used to read Sidney Sheldon as well. But before all that, before even starting with Enid Blyton or Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew, I used to read books that my dad used to buy. And I remember not understanding even a word, but I used to love the feel of the books in my hand, to turn the pages. At one point, my dad was obsessed about learning Russian. So there was this one amazing Russian learn Russian book, which had interesting small illustrations. I used to flip the pages of that book for hours and just to look at the illustrations because it was so interesting. It sounds very sad, but no, it's not. I am a single child, and for me, books were my friends and my siblings. I even remember reading Das Kapital, The Capital by Karl Marx. It was this book. Each volume was this thick. I used to flip pages and pretend that I understand everything, even when I didn't understand anything. But they had interesting pictures from the 1900s, black and white pictures of Karl Marx and his beautiful daughters. And it was very fascinating for me, pictures from a different era and from a different continent altogether. Exotic for me. When I started reading myself, then I started demanding my dad, hey, give me books. And he said, no, I'm not spending too much money on books. go to the library. So I used to go to public library all the time. Also, we used to have this concept of lending library. I don't know if you guys had in your country or continent or place or whatever, but in my city we had this concept of lending library. So you go to the library, it's a small shop kind of a setup. You pick up the book that you want to borrow. There will be a price written on the book. Like for example, if the book is 30 rupees, then you pay 10% of that book to rent it for a week. 3 rupees is your renting fee, and then you take the books whichever you want, and when you give it back you pay. That's the concept of lending library, and I used to lend a lot of books from there. So why I love books, I cannot answer that. I just love books because basically I grew up being surrounded by books. That was the only option I had. Maybe if I grew up in a farm and I was surrounded by tractors, maybe that's what I would be obsessed about. But yeah, childhood influence, parental influence. Also, every time you pick up a book, whether it is fiction or non-fiction, it takes you to another world. And I think the ability of books to, you know, transport you into this entirely new world that the author has created, and then live there and experience what the characters go through, you know, word by word, and experiencing them it's really fulfilling for me. And for me, that's the best way of consuming a story. Of course, we have nowadays Netflix and APV, etc., where you can just binge watch anything you want and, you know, watch the story unfold. But I still would prefer reading over watching. And also, I have had the good fortune of having good English teachers and even Malayalam teachers. So Malayalam is my mother tongue, who actually encouraged us to read good literature. And even in high school, we had very good selection of you know, literature to read. So I don't have a straightforward answer why I love reading. It's just because I love reading. I love being immersed in a book and just you know, enjoy it. Fifth question is, what book or series got you into reading? This I can answer correctly. So my first memory of a book that I really loved is actually a collection of works by Waika Muhammad Bashir. His name down there. He's also called the Baipur Sultan. He was an Indian freedom fighter and also a great writer. He wrote in Malayalam. What sets him apart from other Malayalam writers who were active till that time was his approach to the way he wrote the language. So Malayalam can be extremely formal when it comes to the literature, and it could be completely disconnected to the way the language is spoken by common people, like the colloquial language as such. And Bashir loved writing the language the way people spoke it, and even he had so many fights with his publishers about this. His publishers used to edit out versions which were too colloquial for being published as literature. His stories are so unique and at the same time so commonplace. So he wrote about, you know, commonplace people like gamblers and thieves and pickpockets and prostitutes, and also there was this overwhelming presence of love and compassion as major themes in his stories. His collection of book series which I had in my home, it was so huge, big ones. I don't think I have it here. I think I have back in my hometown in Kerala. Second book that I can remember is again a collection of books, and that is Sherlock Holmes. Yes, I love Sherlock Holmes like most of you do, and I have no idea how many times I have read the complete collection of Sherlock Holmes. I think I have it here somewhere in my bookshelf. But yeah, I can even now read them again and again and still not be bored. Yeah, these are the two books that I can really give credit to, which made me into the reader that I am. Sixth question, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Now, I love to answer this question. First question would be to Jessie the reader. How do you manage to edit your videos so quirky? I just love the way you edit your videos. Of course, I love your personality. I love the fact how funny you are. Yeah, this is my question to you. And second question is to Eric Carl Anderson. My question would be, how do you discover the books that you read? They are so offbeat, so different from what you find in normal booktube community. So yes, please let me know, how do you discover the books that you want to read? Third question would be to Patrick Leo. Question is, I see that you are quite new to the booktube community, but still you have managed to grow so big in such a short time. And of course, I'm happy for you. But yeah, if you could share some nice tips and tips to grow my channel, that would be great. Question number 7. Okay, so this is a serious one. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I know that YouTube comment sections are hodgepodge for all kind of negativity. I'm a little bit worried how I might be affected by unkind and insensitive comments if ever they come. That's one thing. And second would be to coming up with new and exciting content. Of course, I will definitely do the templated contents that everybody do, like wrap-ups or book reviews. But apart from that, I also want to do things are offbeat and something brand new. That will be a difficult thing to overcome, but I'm sure I might get some interesting niche out of the box ideas along the way. So these are the two things that I think are kind of hurdles that might be difficult for me to overcome. Question number 8 is, when did you start reading? I think this is a question that ties up with question number 4, which is, why do you love reading? At least for me, because like I said, as answer to the question number 4, I have always remembered myself reading. I can't just, I don't remember which is the first book I read, because I had literally been, I have always been reading, so I can't just, how much ever I rack my brain, I just cannot recall what was the first book that I read or when was the first time that I read. I've always been surrounded by books and I have always been reading. Question number 9, where do you read? I have discovered recently that there is this term called librocubicularist, which means a person who reads while lying down. And that's who I am. I generally read while lying down on the bed. I also have a rocking chair. Sometimes I read sitting there. And recently I have developed the habit of listening to audiobooks, which is the most wonderful personal discovery of 2020 for me, audiobooks. So I read while doing my chores. I also try to read when I am commuting. And nowadays, because of Corona, because we are all locked up, so that's not a reality anymore. But usually when I go to office, I take the office shuttle, so I read while commuting as well. Number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? So I have always been a fan of crime thrillers, detective novels, mystery, and recently I've been obsessed about fantasy. So these are my favorite genres. And when it comes to non-fiction, I love to read science books. I have a huge collection of interesting popular science books, ranging from Cosmos to Neil deGrasse Tyson's Origins, For the Love of Physics by Walter Levin, Why is E equal to MC square by Brian Cox. So yeah, I just love reading science books, especially physics books. Those are my favorite books. Before I do the 11th question, which is the last question, I would like to request you to subscribe to my channel, because here I am 5 months after starting my channel, doing my Booktube newbie tag. It's all because you guys are not subscribing to my channel. Please do. Just kidding. Please subscribe only if you like my contents. Yeah. So question number 11, what does your book collection look like? You can see here on this table, I have set up the books that I have bought since 2020, so since last year. So these are the latest buys, and you can see a lot of books that I have covered in my recent book hauls and book reviews, etc. You can also see Becoming by Michelle Obama there, and you have the Harry Potter here. You have Brandon Sanderson there in the Poppy series. Then I have a huge bookshelf on the other side. I will do a bookshelf tour very soon, because I am trying to renovate my study room. And once I am done with that, I will definitely do a bookshelf too. But here I have a huge bookshelf here as well. And recently one of my cousin had visited us, and she is quite young. She's in the 7th grade, and she said, hey, Akka, I want to see how many books you have. Can I count the number of books? I said, yeah, go ahead. And she counted, and including the ones on the bookshelf, on this table, and within this table, I have around 400 books. So after that, I think I have another 50 books maybe. So I have around 450 books right now. And that's excluding the ones that I have in my Kindle. And also, thanks to my book lover friend Amber, I also have access to his online archive of around 1,000 books. So yeah, that was the last question. So if you like this video, you know what to do. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will be back soon with a new bookish content. Till then, ta-da!